Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let's do two emails real quick because one's about kind of me and the channel, and those aren't very interesting. So we'll do that really quick. This comes from Curious New Van. It says, "Hey Perch, found your content a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoy it. I listen almost daily. Since I'm new, I have a couple questions for you. By the way, a question for all of you. And curious, like how many channels are putting out videos daily, like routinely daily? Like a lot of them slip into daily, but just like a machine daily." Because that's just kind of the format I've done here. I'm not looking for a pat on the back or anything like that. Is this unusual? I don't know. I got a letter from YouTube going, you put out a lot of videos. It's like, I mean, all right, sure, I make you money. Thank you. Anyway, we'll get to this mail. It says, question number one, who are you? It says, I'm a riddle wrapped in enigma. No, I don't. Who are you? Meaning, do you work in the comic book industry? Your opinions seem to be very well informed. Well, if you're new to the channel, I say was, and will be again, but was a retailer for nearly 30 years, about 25, 26 years in varying states, usually owning the store, often working when I could, but often not. And I say was because for whatever crazy ass reason, I can still order comics like I have a store, which I don't think I should be able to do, but there you go. Question number two: what's with the audio changing on every episode? I assume you're recording on two devices. Doesn't bother me. I have to know the why. It's because I'm using a headset while I drive a lot of the time. I'm driving right now, and at some point the headset's like, ah, fuck it, Bluetooth connection, we're done, and then it just disconnects, and then I'm moving the phone to my mouth to finish it off. It's stupid, and I need to get a new headset. But I like these. They when they work great. The problem is they don't work all the time. Anyway, Mel goes, "Thank you for your content. Hope things are going well for you and your family. Have a great week. You too." All right, now let's get to a mail about comics, and then we'll try that. Why does DC overlook The Outsiders? Uh, I think there's an easy answer to this one, meaning they just don't have the attention span for kind of too many teams all at once. I mean, you could argue that DC doesn't really know what to do with Legion Superheroes and Teen Titans either, because I think both those teams suffer quite a bit on a regular basis. For that matter, Justice Society of America, any team that is at the Justice League at varying times. I remember after the last Crisis event, they're like, we're going to put the Justice League on the shelf for a while and really let the Teen Titans be the premier team. It's time to kind of show that. And then they proceeded to not take advantage of that really at all. I mean, they did put out a Teen Titans book, but you needed big stories to like say, okay, this team is the center of the universe, and they didn't do that. But let's see what the mail says. It says, "Hey Perch, quick question: why do you think DC continues to neglect The Outsiders? I just finished Young Justice and noticed how similar the team in that show and in Batman, Brave and the Bold, is to the X-Men. If you look at Travis Charest's covers for Mike Barr's Outsiders run, the parallels are even clearer. Like the X-Men, they're misfits and outcasts whose powers often cause more pain than good, forming a found family. But unlike the X-Men, they've never broken through to the mainstream. I think there's a lot of potential. Imagine a run inspired by Ellis's astonishing X-Men, Brubaker's Shi'ar Empire, or even Remender's X-Force. Curious to hear your thoughts. Uh, so why does DC, like I said, so why does DC sleep on The Outsiders? Again, I don't think it's limited to The Outsiders. That said, I think DC has struggled with kind of darker, grittier books, which is weird, and I'll explain why in a moment. Compared to Marvel, Marvel seems to be able to do that stuff easier, or at least did. I think they're struggling more with it now. But once upon a time, if you look at kind of the 90s, Marvel could really get Punisher, Ghost Rider, Cable, the X books, Daredevil. They could get a lot of those moving fairly smoothly, fairly easily. You had the Midnight Suns thing. Midnight Suns has a fond space in a lot of people's hearts, but I don't. It wasn't the most popular book in the world, or it had a short run, I should say. But Marvel seemed to be able to do more of that. DC, I think, always I think, struggled with the concept of having kind of the darker, grittier book. Now, why I say that's fascinating a little bit is they don't struggle with Batman, which arguably is the kind of, a natural longer term popular character who dealt with kind of darker, grittier than anything Marvel had going on. I mean, you do have, characters like the Punisher and other things in Marvel, but Batman's been on top for a long time. It is, their number one brand. And yet for a team, they haven't, been able to really do that. And I think it would make a lot of sense. You often see Batman and the Outsiders kind of tied there, or at least you did back in the day. But I think the Outsiders, here's what would need to be true to make that book successful. And I think this is true for all team books. Number one, you got to have kind of a good team, good group, like you say, kind of, characters whose powers cause more pain than good, characters that struggle with their identity, characters that don't have the ability to kind of just slide into the Justice League and be that kind of PR type superhero. Um, and you need to have the characters naturally adapt that state. What you need to not do is have the book constantly remind the reader this fact. Like they can't. It doesn't make for an entertaining comic when the team is trying to bang you over the head with the gimmick. If the characters were standing there going, "We don't fit. We don't fit anywhere." Oh my god! And now, granted, the X-Men did do a lot of that, but they had the whole mutant thing to fall back on. It became kind of a cheat. They could say, "Mutants are never accepted." Well, there's shorthand for our team will never be accepted the same way the Avengers were. But if you look at the Outsiders, I think you would need to have that team have some kind of don't overdo the gimmick. And another thing that people often do is they come in, they're doing the dangerous missions that the other heroes wouldn't do. So why not? Why wouldn't the real heroes do that? Like it doesn't make any sense as a premise. It's like the Justice League would never dirty their hands taking on Ra's al Ghul and threats that would cause millions of people to die. You're like, I mean, wouldn't they though? I think they would. I think if there was something that was a global threat from a really sinister villain, the Justice League would be all over that. So anyway, I think you could have a Outsiders team where you could do a number of different things. You could have a couple members of the team that are unfairly accused of a crime, and so the other heroes are kind of tracking them down, hunting them down, and but their friends stand by them, and they form this team that way, and then they go out and try to clear the characters' names, and then also stop the threat. But they're kind of outside of the superhero community. They're having to work underground. I think you could do something pretty cool with that. I Hey, right there was an example of where the headset decided to be like, all right, we're gonna take that Bluetooth connection, we're just gonna turn it off. Anyway, there's always a little pause, and so I look at the little needle and try to make sure that I'm picking it back up in the right way. Anyway, I run it all through a filter, so hopefully you're not noticing too much of a jump, but I don't know, maybe you do. I'm sure you do. Anyway, that's a high quality content we do here. Every now and then, when somebody's taking a shot at the show, they're like, "You don't have a Why doesn't your show sound better? Don't you have a team of producers?" No, I do not. I can't even get Mrs. Perch to like, "Hey, Mrs. Perch, would you like to do the videos?" Like, yeah, interest lacking. Anyway, but back to the Outsiders. Look, I think if DC went in on this and really kind of you got to have a good core premise. You have to have something, not necessarily what I say, but something like that, where the team has a reason for being outside. You stack it with some interesting people, and the power set should be good, but you don't need like world-ending power threat sets or you could do kind of some interesting stuff there. And then let the other kind of key component is you do need a good artist. And I think this is a case I'm seeing more and more with comics, is they're putting the wrong style of artist in on some of the books. And what I mean by that is like, if you get for example, if you have an artist like Art Adams, and Art Adams is a brilliant artist. I love Art Adams. And you're saying, okay, we're going to do a dark and gritty Punisher story. Adams doesn't fit that. I mean, it'll look cool, but it will feel wrong. It's not the right thing. Klaus Janson, cool. You want to put John Romita Jr. and Klaus Janson on a Punisher limited series? Great. That probably work out pretty well. But yeah, I think you just need to match the artist. And I think I'm seeing a lot of the cases where You get books that are meant to be kind of dark and gritty, kind of outsiders. I think what's the Kelly Thompson DC book that she's been doing with the Birds of Prey book, and the artist is good. I like the artist. I don't like the artist on that book. It doesn't fit the book, and even though they're doing good work, it feels off. And so you have to find that balance. But I wish DC would do something with the Outsiders. I think it's a property that if they invested in, had a good premise, a good hook, kind of interesting team, I think they could do some pretty major sales. I think they could have a good franchise hit on their hands. But they got to put the right fundamentals in place. What do you think? Do you think the Outsiders would work as a comic, and what would it take to get there? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know your opinion. And what do you think? My daughters watch YouTube videos, and it always annoys me where like every 2 minutes, the guy talking is like, "Do you also like water slides? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below." And now here's another type of amusement park that's interesting. Do you like amusement parks? Let me know in the comments below. It's like, gosh, god damn engagement farming. Anyway, thanks for listening.